Hey everyone, this video will be a beginner's guide to N8N AI agents. If you're unfamiliar with N8N, it's similar to platforms like Make.com or Zapier. However, N8N is taking quite a unique approach to AI agents, making them easy to build, yet quite powerful. If you're unfamiliar with AI agents, at a very high level, you can just think of them like ChatGPT, given the ability to take action on real tasks. So if you need something done, it can communicate with CRM systems, calendars, inboxes, and really a whole lot more. So we can complete quite dynamic tasks upon pretty simple requests. My name is Brendan, and I've been creating AI agents for small to medium-sized businesses for almost 2 years at my agency Inflate AI. I've used various tools to create automation workflows and more recently to develop AI agents. So in this video, I'm going to walk through N8N as a complete beginner, showcasing the platform and its various uses. I'll then create an AI agent step by step and connect it to multiple tools to become functional. I'll also make the agent created in this video available for you to clone in my free school community, which is also linked in the description. So hopefully by the end of this video, you will understand the N8N platform, why to use it, when to use it, and how to use it as well. So jumping right in, this right here is N8N. If you are yet to even look at the web page, this is their just front end web page. At the top here says secure AI native workflow automation. So like I said, if you've used Make.com before, if you've used Zapier before, this is in the same sort of realm, the same sort of area that it's covering. And so it's workflow automation. But one of the key things and what this video is really about is to focus in on the AI native part of what they're talking about here, which is its AI agents. And this is something that really sets N8N apart. And that's what I think really sets it apart from Make.com and Zapier is the agent aspect. And this is what I'll be diving into quite a lot in this video and really honing in on as how it is differentiated from the other platforms. Another thing to note here is they say that it is a platform for technical teams. Now, it says it's a platform for technical teams, but you could definitely still use this. If you're a beginner, you've never coded before, this is still a platform that you can get to know really well. So whilst there is aspects to it that you can code and do custom things, that's really a bonus. You don't have to know how to do that in order to get this started. And I'm going to show you all about that when I go through the tutorial. One of the main reasons that it does say that, and one of the big benefits of N8N, when you start to scale your automations and build bigger solutions, is that you can actually host this yourself, which you can see down here, self-hostable. And this is just a really key thing that a lot of people like about this platform compared to something like Zapier or Make, is that you can host it yourself. And all that means is that you can sort of duplicate this platform and essentially run it on your own terms. You don't have to pay N8N to run it. You can literally copy the code, as it seems, and run it on your own computer. And essentially, you don't have to pay N8N to run these processes. And so this is what you would just call open source, and you can run it all on your own terms. And the big benefit of this is just about cost. So the fact is you can essentially clone it yourself and customize it, and the costs aren't going through any cloud hosting that N8N would be doing. So that's enough of me rambling. If you do want to get started on the platform, you just have to hit the get started button at the top, go ahead and create an account. So once you've signed up, you're going to land on a page that looks like this. So this is our sort of main dashboard for hosting all of our workflows. So workflows we can think of these as just an automation or an agent. The workflow is just one instance where we build things. If you used Make.com before, this would be a scenario. So to get started, I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the user interface so you can get familiar with all the tabs and buttons so you can be comfortable in using the platform. So if we go over to the left here, we'll see this overview button at the top. And this is just where we can view all of the workflows and everything sort of in globally of all of our projects. So at the moment, we've got some projects here that are currently blurred out, but these are just workflows that I've got in one of my projects. So the way that N8N sorts these projects is there's something called projects, and within your projects, you've got your workflows. So if I just look at the left here, there's a tab called projects, and in each of these projects, there's another set of workflows. And so if I click into, and I've created just for this video, the YouTube demo project, and in here, we can create a whole set of workflows within the project. And so this can be helpful if you've got multiple clients. You can just create new projects per client, and the credentials is a key thing here. Credentials is essentially logins. So if you're going to be logging into your client's Google account, a client's OpenAI account, or your own OpenAI account, you just add in all of your credentials for this. And these aren't shared between projects. So you're not going to get any of them mixed up or confused between the projects. But anyways, I'll start from scratch. And so once you create a project, you'll get a big button that says start from scratch on this sort of file creation here. We just click that. That's going to load us in right away to our sort of canvas. So this is a canvas designer tool where everything's done visually, and that helps out a lot in terms of building the agent agent, obviously. So this right here is where we're going to be doing everything, building the entire agent, connecting everything is all really going to happen and stem from this step in the middle here. For the most part, there's not a whole lot that we need to do or touch right away other than getting started. We can change the name just by clicking up here. We can call this the YouTube demo or whatever you want to call it. Name it there, and that'll automatically save right there. So what we'll get started in doing is just building out an AI agent, and I'll walk through step by step how to actually build it and everything included in that. So what I'll do is click on the plus button right here. You can just click on it and it'll automatically pop up. And there's a lot of different trigger events that we can do for an agent. So the way that this works for the most part is if we're going to be building an AI agent, most likely we're going to want to communicate it through chat. And so what we can do is just type chat right here. And just like Zapier or Make.com, we get a whole list of options for different applications, different trigger types that we want to use on our agent. So we'll click chat trigger, and chat trigger essentially just means it receives a chat message and that triggers the agent. And I'll go through how that works. So we'll click on the chat trigger. That's automatically going to populate this node right here. And now this means this entire agent is going to be stemming from when chat messages are received. Once we've done that, we're now going to see a chat bubble down the bottom here. So this has only come up because we've added in this module. We can hit chat and away we are. We can now essentially send messages to our agent from this bottom section here. So I could type hello right away, and there you go. It's now received that message. Nothing's happened obviously because we haven't built anything, but the message has come through, and that's how that works. In order to now get our agent up and running and connected to this, very simply, we'll click on the plus button to open up essentially what happens next, as it says there. And we can do a whole range of different actions here. What I'm going to do is click on the advanced AI, and this is where we're going to get access to all the good stuff. So building the agents, OpenAI steps, even other AI models, all types of AI models, we can get all through here. But for this video, we're using the AI agent module. Now, this is pretty much what has caused N8N to have blown up in popularity recently compared to Make.com and Zapier, is this AI agent tool and how it handles automations and workflows. It's really powerful and works really well. And given its connection to all of the different tools that N8N has, it makes it's insanely powerful. Is pretty much the summary for it. So if we click on that module, it's going to load right here. We've got the AI agent. Now, if we go ahead and we can restart our chat. Typically, I'd recommend just restarting the chat when you're doing more tests, so there's nothing conflicting. We'll just type hello again, and there you go. Chat message came through, but the agent didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is because we sort of have to put together the agent. We have to build it. The module isn't completely configured when we add the module in. And so the reason for that is because it allows us to customize it quite a bit. And so we can go to this chat model right here. We click the plus button, and this is going to allow us to connect a whole range of AI models. And so this is super powerful. We can essentially not just be restricted to OpenAI or a different model. We can use whatever we like for all different types of tasks. So now typically we'll use OpenAI. They've got, the standard set of models that perform really well for your sort of generalized tasks. And we can connect one of those modules. But obviously there are a whole host of other models as well. DeepSeek for one, Gemini, Mistral, Grok. We can use a whole range of models here. So I'll just use OpenAI for the purposes of this tutorial. For building agents, OpenAI is one that we use most of the time. But if you're going to be using more complex research tasks, you're going to be analyzing more complicated articles, or it requires a more complex set of reasoning, potentially a model like DeepSeek or Anthropic's Claude models could be a better option. But if you'd like to see something like that, definitely let me know in the comments. So once we've got our OpenAI model connected, just double click right here, and you're going to be loading into all of the options in configuring our OpenAI model. Now, N8N is, once again, it's very customized, and just like Zapier and Make.com, you do need to connect your account to this. So if we just hit select credential, we'll see this create new credential tab come down, and it's going to go ahead and give us a bunch of options for filling out an API key, an organization ID, and a URL as well. So we can keep the URL the same. We just need to add in an API key and organization ID. So to get these keys for OpenAI, we do have to go over to the OpenAI Developers Hub. You can just sign up for an account if you don't already have one. Now, because we're using OpenAI directly to their APIs, you will have to obviously set up an account, and you're going to have to connect your credit card to the billing as well, because it's going to charge you, whatever, 10 cents to make that API call for whatever request that you're making. But for the most part, once you've done that, connect your credit card, go to the API key section, just click create new secret key in the top right. It's going to allow us to just give it a name. So we could just call this the N8N YouTube video. We can go down to project and just select default project. That's fine. And we can hit create secret key. And this secret key is just what we're using to connect to N8N. This just allows the system to recognize that it's you that's using it and going to be charging your account. Organization ID, that is optional, but we can find that by going to the general settings in our OpenAI account and just copying the organization ID. And we can just throw that in there as well if we want to, and just hit save. So once you've done that, you can just hit the escape key to exit out of that. You'll load here and you'll see that it is now connected to the system there. And we can now change the model. So pretty much OpenAI, if you're not familiar, has a whole bunch of models that we can use. I wouldn't get too overwhelmed by all of these different models. Just the one that we typically use is GPT-4o for your sort of standard set of models. You can get more powerful models like GPT-4, which is one of the most powerful models, or you can get a cheaper model like GPT-3.5. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to select a model like GPT-4o. So now if we go ahead and restart the chat, we'll go ahead and send a message, hello, and we'll see that's going to process, it'll process, and there you go. We've now got a response from the AI model. That's worked perfectly. Hello, how can I assist you today? So pretty much ChatGPT is what we've built right here. That's how, essentially ChatGPT is. It's, providing responses based on our questions. But one thing you will notice that we haven't added is memory. So if I go ahead and say, what did I just tell you? And we'll see, I'm sorry, but I don't have access to past interactions. Could you please tell me what you mentioned earlier? So if we're going to be building out a chat system or a chatbot that is dynamic, we obviously want it to have context as to what we've asked it previously. If we're going to be commanding actions or having at least a multi-step chatbot that captures bits of information, it needs to have context as to what it's captured and what the conversation's about. And the way we can do that is by connecting a memory module. So we'll just click on memory here by clicking the plus button. And all we have to do is very, very easy, is just click on this window buffer memory. This right here, like it says, easiest. It is very easy. You just click on it and it's pretty much done. You're already good to go. You can see context window length. So how many past interactions the model receives as context. By default, it's set to 5. You can increase this to capture more messages as well. But for the most part in this tutorial, we'll just keep it at 5. And now if we go ahead and just restart that chat and ask it once again, hello, it's going to come back with a response that says, hello, how can I assist you today? But you'll also notice that the window buffer memory actually processed that. And all it's doing is just saving the conversation. You can think of it as just a storage device. It captures information that is, continually going on. And we could say, what did I just say? And we'll see it now triggers that again. And there you go. You just said hello. And then how can I help you further? So there you go. That's how the memory works. It just saves those responses and allows us to have a much more dynamic and conversational experience. With the chatbot, it's not just responses back and forth. But now for the stuff that you probably care the most about, the tools. So tools are how we can actually make this more powerful than anything like Make.com, more powerful than anything like Zapier. So this is how we're going to give the agent any sort of abilities and functions and its usefulness. So what we can do is I can just hide the chat by clicking that right here. We'll just move these out the way just so we can actually start building over here. And what we can do is click on the plus button for the tool, and we can now get access to the whole range of tools that N8N has. Now the N8N tool library is not as extensive as Make or Zapier. It's very similar. There's a lot of the most popular apps that you'll be using. It isn't as extensive. And in the case that you do want to make custom requests, you will have to do a custom request. If you aren't familiar with that at the moment, don't worry about it. Some of the most popular platforms are still here. So if we wanted to connect, let's say a spreadsheet, we could type Google Sheets, and we'll see the Google Sheets tool. So we can click into this, and this is going to give us a bit of options here for Google Sheets. So we can click into the Google Sheets tool by clicking this, and this is going to give us an interface to interact with everything to do with Google Sheets. So pretty much while we're doing this, the way in which this is going to work is that we're going to be able to send messages to the agent. We're going to be able to talk to it just like it's a chatbot, just like ChatGPT. But now by giving it a tool, it's now got the ability to really do anything with Google Sheets that you want it to, and anything that you tell it to live during the conversation. Now, this is really powerful because we can add multiple tools as well, and each of these tools can actually communicate with each other. So I'll showcase this in just a minute as well. So you'll understand better when we actually run a conversation with it and start to see the tools, communicating with each other to complete a set of tasks. But for the most part, we'll just click into Google Sheets and we'll connect our sheet to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new sheet on Google Sheets here. I'll just give it a name called lead database. And what we'll do is we'll create sort of a mock lead database to sort of just give you the idea as to how the automation, the agent can interact with a spreadsheet like this. So we just went ahead and typed name, email, probably more than enough for now. We'll just do that, give it a bit of formatting so it's clear. And I can just type my own name in there. I could even type my email in there. And if we just call this, we could duplicate this and just give it a bunch of fake names. If we wanted to just add in John Smith, we can add in Jane Smith. We can add in Tony Woods. Go ahead, add in some fake emails. John@smith.com, Jane@example.com. And we'll just add Tony Woods@example.com. So a bunch of fake leads in there, just to give you the idea as to how we can communicate with this type of data through the agent. We'll have that automatically saved to our account, and we'll just connect Google Sheets. So given that we're using a Google application, it's quite easy to integrate Google apps into N8N. We can just hit sign in with Google. And so the Google sign up form pop-up will just come up on the screen. You just got to follow through and add your account and select all the permissions. Pretty straightforward, and automatically your account is now connected. It should now have access to this lead database. So we just have to make sure to select the right document by clicking choose. Once you've done that, you can just select the lead database or whatever your sheet is called. We can select that, and then it's asking for the sheet. So the sheet is actually down here. Sheet 1 is what it will come up with. Just a brief name there, and that's done. What we can do is just leave this all blank. It'll just pull back all of the results from our sheet, and we can use it to automatically pass through and get some data from. So to showcase this, we'll go once again to the chat function at the bottom, reset that chat and just say, hey, can you give me John's email? Now, at the moment, we'll see here that it actually didn't trigger our Google Sheet function. And the reason for that is because we haven't really given it any context as to how to trigger it or why to trigger it. We've asked for an email, but this agent has no idea that the Google Sheet has anything to do with emails or contacts or anything like that. And so to give that context, we're just gonna click out of this. We'll click into the Google Sheets. One thing to do is we can just rename this. So to make it easier, if we're using multiple Google Sheets, probably want to rename it anyway. We can just call this the contact database, where we have our contacts. We can rename it. It's not gonna help with the AI at all. It's just for our own benefit, but we can go into the AI agent. So in order to add our own prompt, you'll just see the prompt user message here is where we can add in our own custom input. At the moment, you'll see this JSON.chat input. At the moment, it just means that the previous module where we are sending messages is the only thing that the agent is currently looking at. So there's no custom instructions or anything. And what we can do is switch from connected chat trigger node to define below. Define below just allows us to now input our prompt right here. And so we still need to bring in some context from the chats that are coming through. So it still needs that context, and we can do that by going to the expression here. Now we can just give it like a test prompt that just says, respond to the user. We can just leave that there, exit out of that. We can go to reset the chat once again, and we can just say hello, run that through, and it's going to go ahead and respond to that question. Double click into here. And because we've done that, it's now populated chat message node with previously. So we can just create some new lines there and just add our chat input. And so we could just type, user message, and now it knows that the user message is this. And now we can start to do prompt engineering. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, you should have a little bit of context around how to do prompt engineering and some of the techniques for getting an AI to do what you want it to. But if you don't have that knowledge, pretty much we like to just sort of separate our prompts into different categories. And so that just means breaking down exactly what it's going to be doing, whether that's the task of the agent, some of its objectives, giving it some roles of who the agent is, what it's doing, and why it's doing it. And so one of the first things that I like to add is a role. And so a role is essentially giving it a personality, giving it just a brief understanding of its existence, essentially. Why is it doing what it's doing? And so in this case, you are an AI agent that assists with finding data from our database and sending emails to our leads. So that's just a very brief summary. Obviously, when we start to build out these systems, prompt engineering is a very critical task, and it's sort of an art form in a sense. When we start to add in different words, it responds differently, and this is something you will just need to play around with based on the conditions that you've added in for your agent. So we'll just add something like that in. It's going to be able to understand this and build its entire context from automatically. So we'll leave that there, exit out of it, and we'll see what happens. So at the moment, now that we've given it some understanding that the contacts are coming from the database, you might be able to pull from our contact database. But really, to make sure that it does do what we want it to, what we can do is actually go to the tool description in the Google Sheets module. So I've clicked back into contact database, and we'll set our tool description manually. And all of this is doing is giving it context as to when to run this particular module. So if we're running an agent that is dynamic and it's running these modules dynamically, at random intervals, we can give it context. So we're not just running this module to read, update, and write data. That's not all that we're doing. Essentially, we're doing this to get contact details. So we'll say, trigger this tool when we want to capture email data, or we could say capture contact information, just to give it more of a brief understanding. So now it's got understanding of when to trigger this tool, and that's really critical when we're building out a multi-tool agent, for it to have that understanding of what tool is used for what. So we'll run this again and see if we can get some information out of that spreadsheet. So hi, I'd like to know John's email, and you can see there it went and read that database. It pulled back the john@smith.com email, and it worked perfectly. So in that instance, we can essentially assess how this happened. Why did this occur. And we can see that essentially all it did is it ran the right response. It ran out our call to the sheets. It looked at all of the different emails here. And it's obviously used AI to analyze this and recognize that John Smith is got the email john@smith.com from here. We can click into the agent as well and just understand the information that it got from. So output, John's email is john@smith.com. Click at the AI models here and we get some more information of what's going on. So there you go. That's how a sort of very basic understanding of the agent and how we can give it context and prompt it to understand exactly what to do and when to do it. So to give the system even more power, we're going to go into the tool function right here and we're going to add a Gmail module. So we can actually send emails from the system as well. I mean, we can do Slack messages as well. We can connect to Telegram, connect to WhatsApp. There's a lot of different functions and tools that we can connect into. And so if your business is using any of these tools, a lot of the popular tools are here. So all types of CRM systems, you can send an email, you can send a message to the agent and say, update this part of my CRM, or send a message to this team member, or go into the CRM, grab this information and send it to the team, or grab this information, go to Wikipedia, search something up, analyze it, summarize it, and then send it off to the team. You can do all of that just by typing it and telling it to do that. So we'll go ahead and add a Gmail tool. Once we've got the Gmail tool, it's very similar once again to your sort of Make.com, Zapier. We're just adding in fields. Who do we send it to? What are we sending them? Stuff like that. Once again, we do need to add in our credentials. It's a Google login, so it's pretty simple. Once you've done that, once again, just fill out the authentication for Google. You'll land on the authenticated page. That's good to go. And now we're going to get some modules for entering in the Gmail. Now, a really cool part of N8N that I don't think, or at least is not as easy to use in Make.com or Zapier, is actually populating fields with AI. And so they've got this let the model define this parameter tool that is very easy to click on right there, done. And then we're going to click on the subject, done. So what we're allowing the AI to do is we're giving it control over the entire request. We're not going to have to use any extraction tool to find an email that the agent talked about or found. It's just going to do it itself. It's just going to find the email, send it to the person, and it's going to do it everything. We can even go to the message here and also click on the AI tool as well. So the entire AI is going to find who to send the email to, what they're going to send the email about, and what to include in the message as well. So I can click out of this once again, and that's pretty much all that we'll have to do to trigger that. Now we can add some context for tool description for the most part. Obviously it's a Gmail, so it understands that that's email, but we can just say to send emails to our leads. We can just give it more context there. And as you build more complex automations on this platform, you will want to put much more detail in the description. When you've got multiple different tools and functions that you want to run, and some of them are similar to each other, you do want to make sure that they are very distinguished through their prompts. So if you've got two email tools, you want to be able to prompt them to be very clear on when to run one email tool versus the other email tool. But anyways, I'll stop rambling on and I'll just reset the chat here and we'll just see if we can go ahead and contact the spreadsheet to find John's email and then send John an email. So I'll do it with my email just so I can actually prove that I received an email. But I could say, can you please find Brendan's email and send him a message or send him an email about potentially investing in AI tech ? And we'll see what happens. So the agent is going to our database using that tool, going back to the agent and now going to the email because it recognized that he did that, and done. So it's gone ahead and it tells us I've found Brendan's email and sent him an email about potentially investing in AI technology. If there's anything else you need, feel free to ask. So supposedly that's done everything for us. And so just jumping into my email inbox, I've just received an email from myself, obviously, as I sent it to myself. But hi, Brendan, I hope this message finds you well. We have an exciting opportunity for you to invest in cutting edge AI technology. Please let me know if you're interested so we can set up a time to discuss further. And so there you go. You can see that we were automatically able to contact our spreadsheet. It would automatically found that email from the spreadsheet and populated it into the email API, automatically wrote this email. The entire email is AI, and even the subject line, investment opportunity in AI technology, is also AI. And so we've been able to control, a lot of these steps and give the agent control over all of these steps to create a really dynamic system. So hopefully everything makes sense so far. We can see on the right-hand side here, the latest logs from the AI agent node. When we run our agent requests and messages, we actually get a sort of a detailed list of everything that's occurred during that run. So we'll get the AI agent here. We can see that it initially retrieves some information from the buffer memory just to obviously send that question into there to store it. It then asks the chat model to answer our question, and went to the database to find my email, back to the chat model to output my email. And we really dive into exactly all of the different things that it found in here. Went off to the Gmail module, obviously. So to Brendan, here's the whole email. Then it came back to then respond to me. So it said, yep, it sent the email. It was successful. Output, I found Brendan's email and sent it to him. And then back to the window buffer memory to store that information for our next bit of conversation. So hopefully that makes sense and you can really see the power of having a multi-tool AI agent. Now, very simply, we can just continue to make the system even more powerful by adding in more tools. So there's a module for Wikipedia that we can add in if we wanted to search Wikipedia. For whatever reason, we wanted some more information. We don't actually have to authenticate Wikipedia. We can just search it up. So we'll just add in the Wikipedia module. And then maybe we want to send someone in the database, for whatever reason, a Wikipedia article about whatever. So we could say, hey, can you actually send Brendan a wiki article about dogs? And we'll see what happens. You have said, can you actually send him an article about dogs? It's actually checked the database once again to find my email, to double check that. Ran the Wikipedia module to find that article about dogs. And there you go. It went to the email and that should have sent to me. So I've sent Brendan an email with a Wikipedia article about dogs. If there's anything else you need, just let me know. And if I check my email, we've just received this really long email about dogs. So hi Brendan, I hope this message finds you well. I came across this interesting Wikipedia article about dogs. I thought you might enjoy it. And it just gave me a big chunk of text that it found on Wikipedia. So obviously, if you were to use this system for your email management, there are probably some better ways to handle this. This is just a demo, but obviously you would want to format it better. It just says your name at the end here. And the way that we can structure and change things and have this, work the way that you'd want it to is all to do with prompt engineering. And so that's a key thing that I've, obviously said quite a few times now. Prompt engineering is a key thing with these agents to do what you want it to. So if we jump into the AI agent in the tools here, we're just going to control that all here in this prompt. We can add in, whatever we want to do. So if we're going to be sending emails, typically I'd like to just, I add in a note section, where we can add in small details. So we'll just add note and we can just say at the end of all our emails, please add, and maybe we can just say, please add cheers, Brendan. Now, hopefully it understands what I'm talking about there, but for the most part, it'll say cheers, Brendan at the end of every email. And we can just simply test that by adding in the prompt, Xing out of it, and we'll ask it to send me an email. So send Brendan an email again about cats from Wikipedia. Let the agent run. That's going to go ahead, go to the article. Once again, it'll probably check the database, or at that time it didn't check the database. It recognized the email already, sent me an email. And once again, we've received an email about cats, but in this case, it actually didn't send me an email. It sent an email to brendan@example.com. I'm only getting the email because it obviously failed to send to brendan@example.com. So in that case, it actually failed to do what we wanted it to. It sent it to brendan@example.com because it wasn't actually pulling from the database. So that's just a prompt issue. Once again, we're gonna have to fix that in the prompt and make it pretty much, go to the contact database every single time. And that's just with prompting. So you need to go into your prompt and say, anytime somebody, needs an email or sending an email, you must run the contact database. And you just got to be more strict in your prompting. And so you could say in the prompt here, every time we send any email or anytime we need to find contact information, you must run the Sheets module. And in this case, it is just going to be more strict and you just got to add to it. You just got to add a prompt, iterate the prompts, and it's going to get better at finding that information that it needs to. And that's just the iterative approach that you got to take to building these agents. It's not going to work every time, but you just got to keep adding to it to make it better. But if we go back to that email, you'll see here, the end of the email said, cheers, Brendan, and formatted it just a little bit better based on the prompt that we gave it. So once this is all set up, this is pretty much it. This is an AI agent on N8N connecting to multiple different tools, communicating between each other, processing information through our chat module. This is, one of the ways, the best way to get started in building these agents is really working on a structure just like this. The next step in building agents is to actually use or create tools from other workflows. So this is something that I won't cover in this video. And if you're interested in learning about this, definitely let me know in the comments if you do want to see this. But what we can do is essentially click on the tools button and call an N8N workflow tool. And by clicking on this, what we're able to do is actually call other N8N workflows as a tool. And this is how we're able to build the real sort of multi-agent infrastructure for these systems, rather than just talking to a Gmail module or a database. We can then begin to build the Gmail agent and the Google Sheets agent, and then we can build the calendar agent and make about all these agents that are purpose built for specific tasks. So this is where we can get that next level of agentic capabilities, is by building that level of complexity to it by adding in other workflows. So very simply, just to give you the concept of it, if we add in a call N8N workflow tool, what we can essentially do is click the plus button up here, go to workflow, and we can just click create in YouTube demo or whatever your project is called. And all we're doing is creating a brand new canvas just like this, and we're using it to be called from another agent. And so I won't go into exactly building another agent. This is once again just a new canvas to build from. We'll use a when executed by another workflow module. So it just means we're just running another automation, another agent from the tool call of another agent. And so it just allows us to be much more complex and a lot more controlled over building a more advanced agent. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. If you did like this video and you're interested in AI agents, I definitely recommend checking this video right here, where I actually do quite a deep dive into AI voice agents.